everyone. My name is Daniela Schwartzman. I'm with BayWa Strategic Partnerships Manager, and I'm really happy to welcome you to today's webinar. And we have Tristan Cronshaw here from Franklin WH. Again, I'm so thrilled he's going to provide us with a deep dive into the aPower S. So excited about that. But before we get started, let's just get familiar with some of the housekeeping. You see on the bottom of the screen, you see a Q&A button. That is your button that helps you to communicate with us. Please send us your questions, your comments, anything you want to share so we can have a good conversation here. So the Q&A will be monitored, not the chat. So you might find some important information there right now about BayWa, but that's not the main way to communicate. Please use the Q&A. So that's so much about the housekeeping. So let's talk a little bit about BayWa r.e. in case you have not been working with us. So your success is our priority, and partnering with BayWa can enhance your business operations and drive your success. How? That's you see this here on the slide. You can plan effectively with accurate forecasting, so you can ensure that your homeowners can be served efficiently. So your dedicated account manager at BayWa is always able and available to provide you with guidance. We have a super easy web store for simplifying the purchasing process. So you can access that user-friendly web store for up-to-date pricing, immediate ordering, your invoicing. So it's much, much more than just a way to order. You have everything there at your fingertips. Commercial services, you can benefit from our expert planning team and also from precise product inventory forecasting for your commercial projects. And our design team is there to help you with the planning and more. Consistent pricing. As a BayWa customer, you can enjoy consistent pricing across all strategically located US warehouses, eliminating any kind of unexpected fees. It's also very easy to access the product you need logistically because we have warehouses across the country. They're strategically located, so you can access the products where you need them. Job site delivery, you can receive your products directly at your job or construction site with the convenient direct job site delivery. You bypass any need for a middle warehouse. So if you are US-based solar installer and you're not yet working with us, then please explore the link that is in the chat right now so you can discover how your business can benefit from working with us. And the representative will be reaching out to you to discuss any of your needs and any support that you seek. All right, so much about BayWa. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Tristan Cronshaw. He is a product manager at Franklin WH Energy Storage. He's been here before talking about the aPower 2. And now we are so thrilled, Tristan, to have you. Thank you for taking the time to give us a deep dive in the aPower S.
Thanks, Daniela. Yeah, great to be back with the BayWa team. My name is Tristan. As Daniela mentioned, I'm a product manager with Franklin WH, and I'm based in Southern California, but I do kind of work in different parts of the country. And we're very excited to deep dive the aPower S. So this is a relatively new product, but it's in the channel with BayWa today. So you can sell and order this battery from Franklin WH. I think just to clarify or introduce everyone, we'll be issuing a number of poll questions. So we want to feel for the audience and understand kind of their level of knowledge of Franklin and our products. So you may see a couple of these pop up throughout the presentation. And with that, I think we'll kick everything off here. So right into the first poll question. Do you understand how Franklin WH's energy management differs from a typical battery used with PV? So you have your answers there. Yes, maybe you have some level of familiarity or none at all. We'll let everyone kind of take a moment to answer so we can really understand the level of knowledge that the group has before we continue on.
Yeah, thank you, Tristan. So have a look at these answering categories. It's a single choice. So fully understand is the first category. I understand the difference between Franklin's WH's energy management capabilities and a typical battery used with PV. The second one, I have some understanding, but like to have more clarification. I'm aware of Franklin WH, but don't fully understand the difference. Nope, I'm not familiar with the difference. I've never heard of Franklin WH. So this is your chance to yeah, be honest. Just give us a good picture of who is here today, who will join us. The better Tristan can also tailor this presentation to your needs. Looks like most of which have some understanding, awareness, but really we could benefit a little bit from working out the difference a little bit
Yeah,
more.
that's great. I think we'll, yeah, it's nice to see that there's some experts in the room, 3%, but the vast majority need a reminder about the key differentiators of Franklin. So that's very helpful. I think that's a good segue into kind of our product offering. So traditionally, Franklin, we're gaining a lot of traction in the market. We launched our first battery actually in Hawaii in 2021. And that was an AC coupled product. So it's not shown here as the aPower X, but aPower 2 is kind of the new evolution of that AC coupled battery. So, you'd be pairing this product with potentially a third party PV inverter. And then it would be connected via the A-Gate X, which you also see on the screen, which is our transfer switch gateway style device. So kind of the centralized point of connection for your DERs and the grid and backup loads. What we're here to talk about today is new for Franklin, and that is the aPower S, which really is a DC coupled all-in-one ESS device. So the major difference between aPower 2 and aPower S, which we'll go into further, is that the aPower S, you can connect DC PV directly into the enclosure. And then our two kind of accessory components on the right side of the screen here, we have our meter adapter controller. So Franklin now has the ability to be connected or paired with our third-party meter collar vendors. And that is through the meter adapter controller device. And we also have the A-Hub, which is really an optional kind of smart panel, very versatile use cases, which we'll deep dive as well. So, long story short, Franklin really traditionally came out as an AC coupled battery. We're now launching our DC coupled all-in-one battery, but we will maintain our aPower 2 for retrofit and any type of AC couple expansion as we'll go into today. So hopefully that gives some context to our product ecosystem. One thing that Franklin is very excited to remind people is that we are manufacturing in California. So we started manufacturing domestic content capable product in March of last year. So coming up about a year now. So if you are looking to pair with specific TPO partners or you have a use case for domestic content SKU, that is available through our partners such as BayWa. And to be very clear, this is in Milpitas, California. So it's close to our headquarters in San Jose, keeping it local up there in the South Bay area. It looks like we might have a question. I think if you have questions, maybe we'll pop them into the Q&A. Is that the best way, Daniela? Yeah. So Jesus, if you don't mind just typing out your question, that'd be great. So as mentioned, we've gained a lot of market share. We just want to share some of the accolades. Time, recognize Franklin as one of the top green tech companies. PV Magazine and many other publications also have highlighted Franklin's rapid growth and our very reliable and robust battery product. So with that, we'll dive into another poll question. Daniela, do you want to introduce the poll question to the group?
Absolutely. Happy to do that. All right, you should be seeing the question. When evaluating an energy storage system proposal, what do you think customers care about most? Again, one choice only. Do customers care most about price and affordability, or about future-proofing and scalability, or reliability and performance, or brand trust and installer support? All of them, there's a reason why they're here. So they all sound very good and very important, but you have to make a choice here. So it looks like between price and affordability and reliability and performance, these seem to be the leading categories here. We have a couple more people who can place their vote here. So
yeah,
it's anonymous. So, yeah.
I think, it's cool to see the relationship between price and affordability and reliability. They kind of are directly related, in my opinion. So just coming down to the minute here. Okay, so a lot of people focus on price. That's reasonable. You have to be able to afford the equipment, but then the reliability and performance also seems like actually the most important element, which is great to hear. And that's really nice because, Franklin, reliability and performance is one of our key selling points. So we have a very, very low RMA rate, tenths of a percentage point. So really, once the battery is installed, it's not coming off the wall. And what that means for the customer is it's there when they need it. And for the installer, it means they don't have to spend money troubleshooting the battery. Price and affordability, we are not the cheapest product. We are a premium product. But what we try and educate people about is due to our, industry leading warranty and reliability, the slightly higher upfront price really means that you're getting the best product over its lifetime, which is what the customer needs when this could last, 15, 20 years for their use case. Okay, we'll keep it moving forward here. So we want to highlight some of the issues that homeowners are facing today. I'll keep this kind of high level. I know there's some text here, but really what's happening across markets is we're getting reduced export compensation rates. So we see this in places like, California, where they transitioned to NEM 3.0, and essentially you need to be self-consuming or storing any energy produced. We expect more markets to adopt that type of reduced export compensation. We also see many customers electrifying. So whether that's adding heat pumps, or EVs, or even just mandated removal of gas appliances in some markets. That's really driving this higher energy need for individuals. And then in parallel, we see utility companies continue to just increase the cost of electricity. So where I live in Southern California, we just had a rate hike, and nationally it can be up to around 12 years across the board, 12 percentage points across the board each year for these increased utility costs. So that is really just hurting people's wallet, and they're starting to look to evaluate other alternatives rather than just being grid connected. And then lastly, but maybe most importantly for many homeowners, is just the frequent outages and grid stress that are happening all across the United States. So from California, where we have high wind events and planned power outages as a result of preventative measures from the utility, to freezing in Texas, to hurricanes and these large nor'easters come into the Northeast. Any of these events, when you have a power outage for multiple days, it really, really puts a damper on your life, and you will start to look for alternatives. So the combination of all four of these factors is really what's driving homeowners to look for energy storage solutions specifically. And then that leads them to the installer, right? So they start shopping around. But what is an installer looking to offer a customer? Really, what they're looking for is a efficient and versatile and reliable solution. And so you want minimized components. You want a very simple install, quick and easy design. That's going to keep your crews moving forward. You want to be working with a single manufacturer or as minimal of manufacturers as possible. That just allows for a uniform warranty, allows you to have access to the monitoring platform, and also better service. There's no finger pointing across multiple manufacturers if there were to be some issue. Expandability, I know this wasn't a huge popular option during the original poll question, but allowing customers to expand to meet future energy and power needs is very important. Not everyone can afford 4 batteries at one time, so being able to maybe add on to a system is important. And you don't want to have any incompatibility issues if you were to try and upsell a customer just a year later, or something like that. And then lastly, that proven reliability. Installers want to offer a product that's going to work for the customer, so the customer is not calling them in the middle of the night, but also that they can move on to the next job and not spend too much time going back to troubleshoot any type of difficult system for whatever the reason might be. And so Franklin really feels like the aPower S solves a lot of these issues, right? So because it has the deep direct PV connection, it allows us to minimize any external components like a third-party inverter. That's going to cut the installation time down and labor costs significantly, and increase the installation efficiency. Also, because of the all-in-one architecture, we have a very efficient system. So directly, DC from the rooftop into the battery, that allows the customers to optimize any solar generation that they're making on the rooftop or wherever, and charge that directly into the battery on the DC side. The all-in-one architecture also allows us to charge from both DC and AC sources simultaneously, which we'll get into when we start talking about generator integration. And the aPower S is expandable with the aPower 2 or multiple aPower S units. That means because they're in parallel that you can increase both the capacity and power of the system. So very, very good for, large homes or large users that need both high capacity, but also a decent amount of power to maybe get them through those peak rates. And then lastly, now a single vendor solution is going to simplify customer service from both the homeowner and installer perspective. Anything that is going wrong with the inverter or the ESS, it's all going to be covered by Franklin's top tier support, and then also our warranty and our monitoring platform.
Tristan, if I can jump in here, there's a question from the audience, and without getting us too derailed, but as we are talking about, the special features and benefits the Franklin WH aPower products can deliver, there's a question about FIAC requirements. I don't know whether this is a good time or you want to speak to this a little bit later, or if you could talk a little bit about that against the background of offering your solutions.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really important topic, especially given the market climate today. So just know that Franklin and our products do meet the DCA, domestic content requirement for that additional tax incentive. And we are in the process of navigating the FIAC guidelines to be FIAC compliant by June at the latest of this year. So it's actively being worked on by our executive level team. And that is, an ownership requirement of the business itself. So it's slightly separate to the products and how they are made and the supply chain. That portion of the business is already safe and secure. So we're just finalizing some of that FIAC compliance through the ownership. I have been told, it could be sooner than June, but we are very, very confident that we will meet those requirements by the middle of this year.
Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I think it's important to get that mentioned early on. So back to aPower S product, we want to highlight just a few of kind of the basics about the aPower S. Obviously, the data sheet can be really deep dive, and it's available on our website today. But just to highlight, it's an integrated PV inverter, so that's going to reduce any external PV inverter requirement, and you can connect up to 20 kilowatts DC of PV to a single aPower S, right? So that solar can be connected across 4 MPPTs. Each MPPT has a current and voltage range of 15 amps and 60 to 600 volts DC per string. And that's 5 kW DC basically per MPPT. The battery does charge at 8 kilowatts, so it's the same charge rate as our aPower 2, and also maintains the same warranty as the aPower 2. So it's going to be 15 years or 60 megawatt hours of throughput, whichever comes first. The capacity of the battery is 15 kWh. So one thing that is unique about Franklin's batteries is we actually maintain a small reserve capacity for a black start capability, which means the battery is actually slightly larger than 15 kWh, but the customer will have access to that full 15 kWh. So we call it the usable capacity. We have about 1.1 kWh that is reserved. That means if the homeowner were to drain the battery to zero in an off-grid situation, there is a reserve capacity to turn on any external PV inverters and basically jumpstart the system the next day without bricking the battery. The continuous output of aPower S is 11.5 kW when the solar is producing. However, it does revert to 10 kW continuous at nighttime or if there's no PV available. And then another unique thing about Franklin WH is our batteries are 122/40 volt compatible as well as single phase 208. So if you are coming across any type of multifamily housing or that 122/08 single phase distribution, the Franklin whole home batteries can support that. So one of the key elements was the price and affordability of an energy storage solution. What we try and educate people on is kind of the installed price per kWh. So when you look at, an installed Franklin system, it may be a little bit more than other products, but because we have a very large throughput-based warranty, you can really get an installed price per warranted kWh of the total system. So just taking a look at a Franklin system installed cost versus competitor and divided by their throughput warranty, you can see that the Franklin system actually is about 21% cheaper for installed price per kWh than other competitors. So, again, educating them that you're buying a product that you are going to be using for a very long time and you want warranted power. And so that really can be a good selling tool against other competitors of like, hey, why is, this one a little bit more cheaper? Well, you're not getting as much warranted throughput. Same goes for just the time-based duration of the warranty. So if you're looking at that, just that extra 50% longer warranty really equates to 50% more avoided cost savings. So this is just an example of numbers based on PG&E in California. So that extra warranted avoided cost of energy over those 5 years can be very significant for a homeowner, especially if there's a large delta for peak and off-peak kWh in their utility. For larger systems, we also want to highlight kind of the aPower S and aPower 2 economics. So because this is not like a traditional DC battery expansion where you only are adding capacity and not power, you're adding both power and capacity when you use this combination. And what that means is there's no single point of failure, and you're getting up to 30 kWh usable capacity alongside the additive power for each unit, which is 21.5 in this example. So really effective if the customer is looking for, high power output, but also more capacity. And when you start scaling outwards, that installed price per kWh actually becomes, even smaller because, that kWh is getting larger. And the major thing here is that when utilizing this combination, you're getting the, industry-leading warranty and reliability that Franklin offers with a very robust system. So we think that this is a great combination for those large users in markets like Arizona or California or Texas, where they really require a lot of power in addition to capacity.
Tristan, before we go a little bit deeper into examples and use cases, there are a few questions, one of which is about the warranty. Is the warranty degraded over time, or is it a full replacement or the life of the system?
Can you repeat the question? I'm not sure if I understand it exactly.
Yes, I'm going to read it out exactly how it is there. Is the warranty degraded over time, or full replacement, or the life of the system?
Well, the warranty is basically kicked off either when the system is commissioned or 12 months after the manufacturing date. So you have basically the 15-year timer from either of those starting points, as well as the throughput base. Now, if there was some type of issue with the battery at any point along its journey, then we would fully RMA the unit. But we also do try and service components that may have failed. Like we have a great field service capability in a lot of our products. Could be something as small as like a relay, an A gate, or some small component inside the battery itself. Those all can be worked with by Franklin and our service technicians. So we do try and, again, service components in the field before having to fully replace them. But ultimately, our warranty is good to 70% state of health after either the annual duration or the throughput. Hopefully that answers their question.
Awesome. I hope so too. JW, if that doesn't answer your question, please ask again in the Q&A. I have a couple more technical questions. Question 1, does the inverter shape solar production if solar input is over 11.5 kilowatt inverter max?
So there can be some clipping if you exceed 15 kilowatts of solar production inside the DC busing. So for example, if you were producing, 16 or 17 kW, you could see some clipping, and that would be kind of either from the output 11.5, and that would derate kind of the charge rate, or if you had minimal output, it would kind of top off the charge rate. So there is some clipping after 15 kW. So it does depend on how you're designing the system for aPower S. You don't want to max out the DC input if it's like a fully south-facing array. That's going to be better spread across maybe multiple aPower-Ss. However, if you got 20 kW across east and west facing, that real power output likely will not exceed that 15 kilowatts. So just kind of comes down to a best practices in terms of design, but you won't see clipping until after 15 kW of PV production.
Awesome. And to the point of max power output, what is the max power output on an off-grid situation?
Yeah, so off-grid is going to be the same. If you have the PV available, you can do a continuous output with aPower-S of 11.5 kilowatts. Again, if the PV is not available, it would be 10 kW.
Awesome. And last question, for PV integrated in the battery, does the solar system need mid-circuit interrupter or an optimizer?
Yeah, great question. We'll cover the rapid shutdown requirements a little bit later on, but if you are in a situation where you are requiring MCIs or RSDs for code compliance, most of the time you would need that. Then we are working with third-party rapid shutdown manufacturers at this time, and Franklin is going to be releasing its own FRSD in just a few months, and that'll be available in the BayWa channel. So that is going to be what we're calling the FRSD, but essentially is just like a MCI. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Tristan. And thank you, everybody, for your questions. Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. So just going back to some of the combinations, because we get a lot of questions of when would I use an SN2? Well, maybe we need a lot of capacity for a specific, desired duration for a customer when they're off grid, or to get them through that peak rate period, but they have a nominal solar system. So again, maybe it's just 10 kilowatts of PV. That's going to be great connected to a single S, and then they can scale out with aPower2s. It wouldn't really make sense to use multiple aPower-Ss in that point, because you can just utilize a single inverter from one aPower-S and scale with the aPower2.
Here's a clarification question.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you again. What do you mean by MCI instead of RSD?
Well, they're essentially synonymous. For the rapid shutdown requirement, you could have some type of optimizer or just an MCI, like a mid-current interrupter, where you're just going to kill the PV on the rooftop. So our device is going to be just MCI style, where it's only going to be for the rapid shutdown requirement. There will be no optimization or monitoring from that device specifically.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you. So just continuing forward, if you have a very large PV array, then you could utilize multiple aPower-Ss. So for example, it's a 30 kilowatt, ground mount. You could divert the PV resource across multiple aPower-Ss, and then you're going to get that added power and capacity. So this is a good option for heavy generation. aPower-S can also be, scaled out in markets like Hawaii and California, where they have kind of these non-exporting systems, or if you're looking to just retrofit onto an existing Franklin system. So it will work with, an AC coupled Franklin system or AC coupled PV. In this example, you can see a third-party microinverter connected to the A gate, and you have the new PV connected directly into the aPower-S, and they're going to be working in tandem. So there is the ability to be very flexible from a retrofit perspective, as well as with new installations with the aPower-S. Same goes with any legacy product. So the FranklinWH ecosystem really is backward compatible with anything that we've made. So if there's a customer with an old aPower-X, that's our very first legacy product, they can connect aPower-S and aPower2 to those systems as well. So here's kind of a good example of how we are able to capture more of the generation, both in an on and off grid situation. With the charge rate of 8 kW, you can see you have 15 kilowatts being produced on the roof. That means we can charge the battery at full capacity as well as meet the home load, and we're only going to be exporting a small amount back to the grid. So that on-grid capability to capture as much generation as possible with the higher charge rate is important in markets where you have very limited export compensation rates like California. Now, in an off-grid situation, we're able to manipulate the MPPTs to basically balance the charge rate as well as the site's consumption. So if this, orange triangle in the center was an instantaneous grid outage, we'd be able to ramp down that PV production to keep as much online to, charge the battery at its peak rate while meeting the home load. We also have kind of an advanced generator integration with the aPower S because of our, ability to charge simultaneously on the AC and DC side. So what this means is that if you're utilizing aPower S along with a generator, if you kick over to that standby or portable generator, that's going to be the primary source of power to the home loads first. And any excess power could be used to charge the battery. With that being said, the DC PV that is connected to aPower S can also be simultaneously charging the battery when the generator is running. This really means that the homeowner or customer can rely a lot less on the generator in those, long grid outages and get the battery to a reasonable SOC to go back to using the battery for the home loads and not have to run the generator for as long, right? So kind of an advanced feature to have both sources charging the battery at the same time. And just to remind everyone, we work with really any 240 volt, 60 hertz generator, any standby generator configuration like dry contact, two-wire start, or existing ATSs, as well as voltage sensing, all are very easy to integrate into the Franklin system. Another question we have about these combination systems is how does the PV resource charge both batteries simultaneously? Do I need AC coupled solar with the aPower 2 if I have an aPower S? And really what happens is we're just balancing the charging from the DC connected solar across multiple batteries. So as you would see with any AC coupled Franklin system, the aPower S and aPower 2 would essentially be balanced in terms of their charge and discharge capability. So the SOC should remain almost identical. Granted, there's slightly more efficiency to charge the aPower S from the DC PV connection, but it's being spread across any battery evenly.
On the topic of PV clipping and the battery charge, there's a question. Is it fair to say that PV clipping will occur above 11.5 kilowatts if the batteries are fully charged?
That is fair to say, yes. If we are unable to charge the battery simultaneously to its peak continuous output, we would ramp down the PV production. Correct.
Okay. And then one more question. Does the A-gate include PCS capability?
Yes. So the A-gate as well as our meter adapter controller are both PCS compliant devices. Great questions.
There's another question that's just coming right in as I have you here before you go on. Can you mix older batteries with the newer ones without affecting the performance of the new battery? It is usually not recommended to mix an old and a new battery.
We do have the ability to connect all of our products together, aPower X, S, and 2. So it is possible.
On the topic of whether this is recommended or not, are there any disadvantages to that, or is there a little bit more you can elaborate?
I mean, there's not too many disadvantages. Generally speaking, the one thing to consider is that older batteries are going to be charging and discharging slightly at a lower rate than the newer ones are. But that's really the only disadvantage.
There's no
we find
impact on the new battery.
No impact on the new batteries. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So all the new aPower 2 and S are naturally cooled. So we have no moving parts, noise free, there's no meltdown capabilities. They're just utilizing very large heat sinks behind the unit. And that's going to make the product more reliable over its lifetime. It's also very quiet, as mentioned. So the aPower S is relatively, sleek and pretty much almost silent to some degree. 30 decibels is a soft whisper, so it makes it nice when you can, or when you're installing these, maybe near a door window within code compliance. You're not going to hear a very, very loud humming. It's going to be relatively quiet for the customer. We also support a wide operating temperature range. So the battery, both aPower 2 and S, have an operating temperature range from -4 degrees to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's good in extreme climates. We actually have Franklin products installed in all 50 states and Canada and Puerto Rico. So many, many areas they're operating very, very well. And we have built-in heating blankets for those colder climates. So we are able to warm the batteries up to kind of make sure that we're optimally charging and discharging once we get below 48 degrees. We have a very great white paper on our website about this technology and our cold weather climate capability. So if you're interested in learning more, please go to our website and find that white paper on the cold weather performance. And what this
Yep.
really means is that, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Oh, wait.
What it means is that the battery is going to be working when you need it most. So in markets like Arizona, when it's hot and you need the AC, it's going to be able to ride through even those high temperatures and also the low temperatures in the colder climates.
Yeah, this is great. And you made a plug here, resources, just so you know, everyone, you'll have access to the webinar recording and the presentation afterwards, along with plenty of resources. So just a little plug here. And also a question about certification. Do you have UL 3141 certification?
Yes, we do. So the MAC, as mentioned, as well as the A Gate, are have the UL 3141 NEM integrity mode certified.
And then there's a question about the Franklin portal. I'm just going to ask it, and maybe you can direct our attendee to the right place. I wanted to ask how FranklinWH enters information into your project's portal. I want to make sure I'm using the correct input so we can avoid delays and receive PTO in a timely manner. Is it enter all under System 1? And if so, what is the software version or where would I find that? Or is it inputted under System 1 and System 2?
I think
You
we
have
need to
to help
direct
me.
that question to engineering at franklinwh.com.
Mhm.
That sounds like a specific interconnection related
Okay.
question, but our engineering team would be more than happy to guide them through that.
All right. And then thank you for that. Do you have a stacking kit available?
A stacking kit. No, so we do not have direct sandwich stacking. We do have a freestanding mount where the batteries per our UL 9540A report can be installed one in front of the other with 2.3 inches between units. Now, that is if the HJ accepts the UL 9540A report. Not all do, like LA County. But with the freestanding mount, you can get many batteries in a much closer area than if you had to install them laterally on a wall.
And then another question here regarding the direct connection to the PV system. I have a solar edge inverter with optimizers. Does your inverter replace the solar edge inverter, or how does that install go together? So maybe you can talk about the installation and inverter requirement or not, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there is kind of a market to replace existing string inverters that may be outdated with the aPower S. It will work, albeit you would have to consider the optimizers on the rooftop. They would need to be removed if you were removing the solar edge inverter in that instance. Another common application would be if it's a very legacy inverter and was installed even before rapid shutdown requirements, you may have to actually install rapid shutdown on the rooftop with the new aPower S. So it is possible to replace inverters with the aPower S, but there are some additional rooftop installation requirements that would need to be considered. Alternatively, if you're just looking to add a battery to an existing PV inverter, our aPower 2 is a really great option for that. If you're not looking to replace that string inverter, the aPower 2 really is intended to AC couple with an existing PV system. So you have a few options, but we can support you either way.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And great slide to stop and take a moment to answer a few questions. It's got our colorful light strip here, so this is fully customizable. Also is a SOC indicator as well as a PV status indicator on the top there. So homeowner can step outside and see generally where this light bar is, gives them an idea of how much state of charge the battery system has. They also can kind of set this to any color they would like. You can dim it, you can turn it off too if it's bothering someone. The aPower S also very fast commissioning, 15 minutes or less. So if anyone has installed Franklin before, they know that our commissioning is very quick and easy. I will tell you there's only a couple extra steps for the aPower S. You just have to notify that you have PV connected to it and what type of interrupter or MCI or rapid shutdown that you're utilizing. Those are basically the only extra steps. So very, very fast. And then we can seamlessly transfer any software or firmware updates over the air easily. Okay, so poll question 3. Danielle, do you want to introduce this question to the group?
Yes. Do you discuss and reference home energy management as well as future proofing in the new world of electrification? So think about EVs, VPP, time of use rates, etc. Single choice. Yes, we cover both home energy management and future proofing extensively. We touch on these topics, but we don't go in depth. We focus more on other aspects of electrification. Nope, we don't cover these topics, or I'm not sure about this. As the answers are coming in, looks like the first two categories, yes, it's covered extensively, or we touch it on those topics, but don't go really much in depth. Tristan, as we see all these answers come in, is there anything you would like to underline at this point? Anything you'd like to recommend, advise, suggest?
Well, I think all of this is important to educate homeowners, especially VPPs, and then kind of the future proofing. VPP and like vehicle integration really is like a popular topic for people. Franklin is on a number of VPPs, and it's a great way for homeowners to monetize the battery. So, educate your customers about what's available. It could be enough to push them over the fence if they're going to make $800, $900 a year by enrolling their battery into some type of VPP program, or can help just lower the cost if there's some type of upfront incentive. So definitely important to be kind of an expert in what's available in your region. Those are very regionally specific. And then for like load management, home energy management, this is also a really great tool. If a customer is only looking to a single battery, right? Maybe creating a smarter home energy storage solution with load management or some type of V to L integration is going to be the best design for that customer. So I think all of these things need to be considered if you're really educating homeowners on this, energy storage system journey. It's not as simple as, hey, here's a battery. Every use case is unique. Every region is unique. So I think it's really important to have all of these tools in your tool belt when you're speaking about this type of product.
Agreed. And this is where Franklin WH really comes in strong, the scalability aspect that we talked about in the beginning of the presentation. Thank you.
Of course. So we'll speak a little bit about the means.
One more question. I'm sorry, I missed my time here. Is it still SPAN compatible? Can you talk about the compatibility with SPAN and others?
Yeah, great question. So we are still fully compatible with SPAN. So the homeowner would be able to kind of see all of the basic Franklin data being reported through the SPAN app. And we also are working on a few other few other integrations with some third-party providers. We are rolling out the Eaton AbleEdge Smart Breaker integration. Those are coming to market very soon. And that's going to be a load management tool for Eaton panels. SPAN and Eaton also are working on their own third-party MID, so that microgrid interconnection device that can be retrofit into the panel. Franklin is actively working on those, which will be released later this year. So a lot of exciting things coming from that third-party integration. But back to the original question, that original SPAN integration with FranklinWH and SPAN is still available on the market.
Excellent. And then there's a question, what is the timing of Franklin's RSS units versus needing third-party RSS units and transmitter box?
Yeah, great question. Those FRSDs, which is the Franklin Rapid Shutdown product, is going to be available in Q2 of this year. So very soon.
Mm-hmm. Matthew is asking, for installing on larger services above 800 amps, has there been an update to monitor each leg of the service, or are we still needing to install multiple A gates tied to one battery?
Well, multiple, yeah. So our A gate, which we're speaking about now, and I'll just continue forward here, it's rated for 200 amps. So, and for services larger than 200, if you wanted to back up multiple 200 amp legs, you would need multiple A gates. Now, if you're just looking to back up a single 200 amp leg on a larger service, you can still use a single A gate to back up that single 200 amp feed. And you can utilize split CTs if possible to measure the line side consumption. So when grid connected, the ESS system could discharge to meet other load on site. That being said, it is still our recommendation for larger services than 200 amps. If you're looking to back up all of that, you do need multiple A gates. It can be very challenging to splice many CTs together to connect to multiple line side feeds with these larger services. Sometimes it's physically impossible. So it really just depends on the use case. If you have any specific questions about an 800 amp service and the best way to design, you can reach out to engineering at FranklinWH, send us photos of the panel, and we can work with you to how best integrate the Franklin system. Great question. We're getting a lot of, more than you would think, a lot of these 600, 800 amp services across the nation. So it's an important topic. And that really comes to like why the A gate is being used. So if now with the meter collar, if you can use the meter collar, it's a great way to save costs. But in use cases where you have larger than 200 amp services, as just mentioned, or the meter is detached from the internal service panel, or if you need many batteries, more than 4, the A gate is still going to be the best desired means of integration for the aPower S or aPower 2. A couple things about the A gate. So it is PCS certified, UL 1741 CRD, as well as that NEM integrity mode for UL 3141. It is rated for that. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth commissioning. And then again, you can integrate our generator module or our smart circuit module for load management directly into the A gate. As mentioned, future-proof, so it'll work with old batteries, new batteries as well. And just to show what a general installation looks like with the A gate for the aPower S, again, you'd be intercepting at some point after the meter. The aPower S would be connected directly into the A gate, and then you would have some loads, either the whole house or some loads connected to A gate, and then you have the optional integration of smart circuits for your large loads like EV charger or HVAC, and then you can connect through that generator module either a generator or a vehicle to load.
There's a question about vehicle to load. What vehicles are compatible with the vehicle to load feature? Is there a list available?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we don't have a formal list. I can, tell the group that's basically the Ford F-150 Lightning, the Tesla Cybertruck, one of the Rivian models, the GMC Denali EV, the Chevy Silverado EV, and then I believe there's one more that's escaping me. So any EV that has that 240 volt outlet in the back of the truck or kind of SUV, we utilize that 240 volt output as kind of a simulated portable generator. So that's the V to L feature. It's not traditional or true bidirectional charging where it'd be going through the same port that charges the vehicle. This is going to be utilizing that single output of power from the vehicle to be sent through the system, similar to that of a generator. Now, if you have any specific compatibility issues about a vehicle, you can send it to our engineering team and we can verify for you. But again, there's only about a handful on the market, but we do expect more to be available in the coming years.
Listen, about that, we talked about that. We referred to the engineering team a few times in this presentation, and I'm getting questions about this as well. Who would be the right person to contact? Could you share this with us again, or what would be the best response?
Yeah, it speaks to Franklin service. So anytime there's an engineering related question, technical question, compatibility related question, we have a dedicated engineering team. So our application engineers and product managers that will work with customers either to review single lines, confirm compatibility, or just work for like best design practices. So that is the best way to get in touch with FranklinWH related to pre-construction technical related questions. Engineering at FranklinWH.com.
All right.
Additionally,
engineering at everybody please engineering at FranklinWH.com is the email address where you can reach out to and answer your engineering questions. Thank you for repeating that.
Yeah, engineering at FranklinWH. And if the system has been installed and you're looking for a service related issue, we have our service team, which handles, products that are deployed in the field, and that is service@franklinwh.com. I'm sure we can type them into to the Q&A or follow up to the
Yeah.
attendees with those avenues. But essentially, we have our engineering team for anything related to pre-construction and technical design. And then we have our service team related to anything that's in the field, maybe if there's some type of fault or you're having an issue with any installed system.
Amazing. Thank you for clarifying that. There is
Yeah.
another question about when will your meter color switch be approved with Nevada Energy in Nevada? Do
Yes,
you know?
so I can comment on that. Connector is likely, working with Nevada Energy. I don't have an exact timeline. It is a third-party meter collar device. So Connector is the manufacturer for those other markets. We also do work with EQB or New World Energy in California. So any specific market kind of timelines for approval would need to be confirmed with Connector. And Daniela and BayWa work with Connector. They have availability for that product. So anything related to the collar,
Right.
you can work with your distributor to get in touch with their representatives and ask any specific questions about the collar.
Thank you for that call, Tristan. Yes, you can reach out to our account managers. They will be able to help you figure this piece out where connector is already approved or not. There's another question about the NEM integrity. So is the NEM integrity mode available with the meter adapter controller and the meter socket?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is listed. There are some certain utility verifications that we are working through with the major California utilities. So with the collar itself and the kind of NEM-MT or non-export, I would expect that to be widely available within California in the next 2 months. We've been working the majority of that witness verification for the traditional A-gate integrations. Considering the collar is new, we're still finalizing the utility approval for that use case, although it will become available soon. Great, that's a great question. And what I can say about the meter collar is that, EQB and New World Energy, rather, they're kind of that's the parent company. That collar is available in the California IOUs. Connector also is available in the California IOUs. So PG&E, SCE, and SDG&E. Connector also is available in Arizona markets, TEP, APS, and SRP. And they're working on a few other utilities. But again, I don't want to misspeak about their exact, utility approval and the roadmap requirement. So Daniela and the BayWa team can introduce you to the local connector rep, and you can get a detailed timeline on when this collar is going to be available in each specific utility.
100%. Micah just messaged you about that. Yes, please reach out and we can help you figure this out.
Great, thank you. And kind of leads me to the use case of the collar. So it's really nice to avoid that circuit relocation, but only available in specific regions and utilities. This isn't available everywhere. And it does only support up to 4 aPower units. So just something to consider about the collar itself. While it can be a game changer, it really is not for every single situation at this point in time. Now, the third-party meter collars are going to be connected directly via some analog connection cable to the meter adapter controller, as you can see in this diagram. And then the aPower units are connected via the CAN bus communication Cat5 or Cat6 cable to the meter adapter controller. So essentially what we've done is we've removed the EMS, the energy management system, from the A-gate, and we've put it into a small external enclosure, which is the meter adapter controller. That has all of your low voltage connections for any emergency power off, low voltage button for first responders, to RS-45 connections for A-hub or AP box, as well as the CAN busing for the aPower S. So basically everything is connected at the meter adapter controller in terms of its communication, but the islanding effect or the grid relay is in the collar, right? Now this aPower S in this example would be connected with its breaker, the AC output, onto the main bus bar or some other point of distribution at the home. In this diagram, we also are introducing the A-hub. So the A-hub is not required, but it is an optional component. And again, it's going to give you the capability to connect AC solar or have load management or connect a generator or V to L with a meter collar. So very unique in that sense. I know we're getting tight on time. I just want to jump to the A-Hub because it's a pretty cool new product. Um, Really, we were trying to solve this problem here. So when you're using a meter collar, how do I, you know, easily connect multiple AC coupled inverters? How do I give the customer load management or that smart circuit capability for a smarter home energy storage system? How can I connect a generator for maximum resiliency? There really weren't a lot of great capabilities to achieve this until the A-Hub was introduced into the market. So the A-Hub is essentially a smart sub panel with four 240-volt breaker spaces. And those breaker spaces can be either 120 or 240. So think of it as like a 4-8 sub panel, 100 amp rated. And each has a CT and relay connected to them. So you can really configure these breaker spaces in any fashion. So this is really just like a sub panel. It'd be connected to the main service panel through some type of branch breaker. And then you can work with the customer to decide how you want to utilize the breakers within the enclosure. So to give you kind of like an idea of the versatility here, any of these breaker spaces can be used for smart circuit or load management. Now, why would I use load management? Again, maybe it's a single battery installation. You're using a meter collar. It's now automatically a whole home backup. It's possible that that single battery could be drained very quickly if there were, let's say, multiple AC units. With that being said, you can connect those AC units to the A-Hub. You can have those automatically turn off at a specific state of charge, or time-based control, or even power-based control. And you can manually turn them on and off through the Franklin app. So what that means is if the grid goes down, you may not even notice it. But once your battery gets to, let's say, 50%, we can turn off these large loads. And so the critical components or critical loads are remained energized throughout the grid outage. That's one use case. You also could connect multiple AC inverters into the A-Hub, and those can be individually controlled, turned on and off in a grid outage to kind of keep those third-party solar inverters on to the best of the ability to make sure that you're, maximizing your generation during that off-grid situation. And lastly, you can connect a generator or your vehicle directly into the bottom port in A-Hub, which is pretty sweet. If you have the collar being used, and let's say you have that Ford F-150 Lightning, or even an existing standby generator, we can work with that to ensure that if your batteries did deplete in a very prolonged outage, we could seamlessly switch over to generator power or that V2L feature, and you would have some backup to your backup. So really cool product. You can use kind of each of these 240-volt circuits in kind of any combination, and you can connect up to 4 A-Hubs to a single MAC or a single A-gate. So can really expand outward. We did get a few questions about NEM integrity mode and NEM-MT. So if you are looking to utilize the California Public Utility Commission Configuration 1 for NEM-MT, we have the ability to connect both the legacy PV inverter as well as the new non-exporting PV inverter to the A-gate on the load side, which means the customer would have access to both PV inverters or PV systems rather when the grid goes down. So this is a unique capability that Franklin has for NEM Plus in Hawaii as well as NEM-MT in California. That's a very dense topic. If you want to schedule a follow-up call about NEM-MT, again, reach out to the engineering team, reach out to your local regional sales manager, and we can fully deep dive that use case for NEM integrity mode alongside A-Hub and A-Gate or even the collar. Another use case for the A-Hub is really if you just have like a detached PV, point of interconnection, let's say a detached garage or a detached barn, you may be able to utilize the A-Hub to measure and control solar that's in a detached structure, and that A-Gate would be able to turn that on and off in an off-grid situation. So A-Hub, versatile product. If you're familiar with the AP box, we will be sunsetting the AP box, and we'll just be using the A-Hub for any use case moving forward.
This is really, really sweet. And I understand, especially, being in the East and power outage is a thing. Load control management is like really critical. There are 2 questions I want to get to before we end the webinar soon. I was told the Franklin system will have the generator run at a maximum 70% capacity due to harmonic distortion. Is this the case, whether the generator is tied into the A-Gate or the A-Hub?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we recommend somewhere between a 50 and 70% kind of run duty, as we call it, to minimize any harmonic distortion. The issue you have is if you have the generator throttling, it can still pass through the Franklin system to loads. And our batteries are very sensitive to THD and any type of power coming in. And so it's very easy for us to not charge if you were to kind of exceed an appropriate harmonic distortion, but you run the risk of potentially damaging appliances. Now, this is endemic to generators as a whole, not necessarily the Franklin system, considering we just let that power pass through. What we can do is prevent our batteries from being damaged. But if you're surging the generator outside of its stable power output, you run the risk of damaging any appliance connected to your system. So you just have to be very cautious. And that's where we kind of get to that 70% threshold. It's really just trying to set the best expectation for the use of the generator to ensure it operates safely and effectively.
And then there is a question, and it speaks to how interesting this is, what you've been just sharing with us, and maybe we need a separate webinar on the app. Are there training videos and certifications available on the portal that will cover all the versatility of the products? So all the use cases and combinations you've been talking about.
Yeah, we've rolled out a number of new training courses. The aPower S training is live. We have material on the A Hub. We have a variant length design course. I would say it's pretty challenging to capture every use case because there's many. But our training manager, Larry, he's done a great job of getting that all onto our new training platform. So recommend that you start there. If there's topics that you're looking to deep dive, again, please reach out to Franklin. We are here for our partners. Myself and counterparts across the country work very closely with our sales team to ensure that any topic or product that you want to cover, we can have individual one-on-one deep dives to ensure you're understanding how to utilize it to its best capability.
Yeah. As we're at the top of the hour, a couple more minutes, Tristan, for you to close. What do you think you would want to give our attendees today home along with the presentation?
Yeah, I'll just kind of breeze through these last few slides. I know there was a lot of material, but just know that we're on many virtual power plants. I'm not going to go over all of these. We work with a number of DERMS providers. All of this information is on our website under the homeowner incentives tab. So you can kind of click into each state, click into each program. Again, learn these programs, use them as a tool to sell batteries and have the homeowner monetize their investment. I think last question, if we have a minute
you want to
for
do
poll
it?
question
You
4,
want to do this?
do you mind?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know it's
if you
late.
want to do it, let's do it. So what features do you wish Franklin WH had? That's a great question to close. Single choice here, 400 amp service solution or bidirectional EV charging, VPP program integration, lighter and or modular design. So if you please just share with us, what do you think? It's a little bit of you can tell Franklin WH what to work on. So what features would you like Franklin WH to look into? It's a
Yeah,
tie so far.
this is really what we like to hear from the audience. We try and build things for the market, or that's our ultimate goal, really. And so understanding what everyone wishes we had helps us kind of develop our roadmap moving forward. So looks like we're just up
Looks
to a
like
minute.
400 amp service solution, bidirectional EV charging. These two things seem to be most interesting.
That's great. So bidirectional EV charging, it's on our roadmap. We are waiting for the IEEE requirements for that vehicle to grid interaction to be defined, as well as for some of the auto manufacturers to decide on how they want to, actually be connected to distribution, AC or DC charging. So once those are defined, Franklin is ready to move quickly into the bidirectional EV charging space. I'd expect some more information to be released at the end of this year about our solution for that. 400 amp service solution, same situation. We are working on like an on-grid power sharing capability. So again, that's on our roadmap. Expect something maybe later this year, early next year to have a better solution for 400 amp services, because we get that question almost every day. And then the last two, always monitoring VPP programs as they come across the country. It's a very strong focus of ours right now. And I can tell you we're trying to lose some weight on the battery we're optimizing some of our manufacturing capabilities to keep getting it a little bit lighter. So all of those things are on the horizon for us. And thanks everyone for sharing your feedback.
Sounds good. We are running a little bit
Out of
late.
time. So I
This,
think,
yeah, we ran out of time. So that just means we have to do another webinar, right? So I really appreciate you, Tristan, for being here with us, and Franklin WH for your enormous partnership and collaboration. Everybody, thank you for attending this webinar. Please reach out to Tristan, to the Franklin team, and to us. We can help you get your hands on those products and help you with any kind of questions that you have with respect to like the product and our partners. Thanks, everybody. You will be getting some information. You'll getting the recording and some other resources. Thank you so much, everybody. This was great.
Yeah, thanks everyone for your time. I know we went a few minutes over. Have a great rest of your day, and please be in touch.
Be in touch. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.